Well, hi folks, here we are, May 30th, 1995, Island Highway in Campbell River. Just a quick one today. Now I was thinking as I was driving in this morning, it's been almost 5 full months since the Wuhan waltz sort of started. And many people are of the belief that there's a bigger plan at play than just the virus, whether it was man-made or whoever. And again, indications are that that's probably the case, or there's a possibility that's the case. But the intriguing thing for me is that, I've spoken about this before, the Agenda 21, the Agenda 2020, and the Agenda 2030, which is all available knowledge. You can get that offline. You can see the actual documents yourself. You can don't have to take just somebody else's word for it. You can print them off and read them and make your own mind up. But the intriguing thing is that if most people don't see how they're being controlled today, how this control was working through for 2020. That was the plan, just get this sort of thing started. I suppose one never will. And I've got a couple of, there's actually 3. The first 2 video links sort of go into that a bit. And it will, if you watch it, maybe knock some rust out of your luck and get you thinking clearly. Maybe it won't. Maybe you're just thinking deeply. But it's interesting. When you look at the behavior we have all come to accept and follow, we're almost like Pavlovs Dogs. If you're not familiar with that, you can get that online as well. Just look up Pavlovs Dogs. It's an experiment. But everybody's staying at home. Everybody's snitching on their neighbors. 7 o'clock, everybody was programmed to get in and bang their pots and go, yeah. I see it stop now, at least on my street. The one person who was honking their horn every evening at 7 has sort of stopped, which is sort of a relief. But it's interesting. And then you look down south at all the riots that have been going on. And of course people claiming it's racism and what have you. And they're looking for freedom and they're looking for justice. But they're burning down people's property and looting and stealing and robbing and there's no logical sense there. Now you can see people being offended, but becoming an anarchist doesn't solve anything. And you can look at all those videos. I know last night I watched some of the riots online in different cities. And it took me back to when I was that young, back in the 60s. I never got into protest much because there's a chance of getting arrested. They were a bit tougher back then. And when I analyzed it and looked around, most of the people who were protesting didn't know up from down. They were there because they had like banging pots every night at 7. That was the thing they should do. So they were there. And there were some, don't get me wrong, there were some people who really believed in what they were doing. But for the most part, it was just craziness. And back then too, you had riots. I remember a fellow I met when I was drilling way up north, a fellow by the name of Murray out of Vancouver. He was on probation and had to contact people all the time, anytime he went any place. And he had been charged with inciting a riot back in Vancouver. He said all he was doing is he was going downtown and there's all this stuff's happening. He's standing on the sidewalk watching and got roughed up by the police and charged with inciting a riot because he had said something back to the cop who had grabbed him. He said he wasn't doing anything. And so I think when I look at those people marching, it's probably the same thing today. There's probably people there with good intentions, just a peaceful march. But then there's a lot of idiots. And then there's a lot of people just there for, they've been banging pots at 7, so it's a thing to do, so they're out, not knowing up from down, but they're there. And you can disagree with that. I'm always open to disagreements, but the thing that was heartening about all of that was some black leaders came on and sort of addressed that and said that burning and looting, there's no justification at all in that. Go home. And I agree with that. That's why I didn't protest way back then. I protested in my own way. I did some writing and some things that, And I remember an old fellow once telling me, you can't change the world. What you can change is yourself. Become the change you want to see in the world. And, every now and again you run into people who get you to really stop and think clearly. It's a teacher there, it's a gentleman here, it's a lady there who takes the time to sort of not tell you what to do, but suggest maybe you're just not looking at this properly. Maybe think about it a different way. So I've been fortunate. I think many of you probably have as well. And then, of course, many times you probably had that happen, and you slammed the door, closed the window, and just didn't pay any attention to it. So I've got a couple of videos that I'm blinking, like I always do, and I'm thinking that there's still hope for you who don't believe that there's a bigger plan afoot. Because the only way that's going to stop that is for a lot of people to realize it. And a lot of people to get out of the illusion that they're in. And I mentioned the other day that I thought we're past the tipping point. I still think maybe we are. Maybe it's too late for people to realize. Maybe. I was talking with Tom this morning and was worried about faith and becoming depressed and what have you. And if you have faith, how can you become depressed? How can you be afraid of things if you really have faith? I have a cousin who's a Jesuit, and in a conversation with him, I find it horrendous that the clergy, the priests, the rabbis aren't going to be with the people in need, the people who are dying, like the seniors. And he said, well, you have to be safe. And doesn't ring with me. If you really believe something, you go do it. It's one of those crazy things. But anyway, that's about all today. If you are just sitting in your basement and are all depressed, hey, get a hold of somebody. Don't just stay there. There's always somebody you can speak with and argue things with, and at least remember that you're alive and there is hope, even though we might be past the tipping point. Don't become one of those robots who bangs your pot at 7, marches when everybody else does, squeals on your neighbor, and worry about dying from the virus. If you have faith, why worry about dying? Everybody is really appreciative of being here, and you want to sort of keep this thing called life for as long as you can. At the end of the day, that's where we're all headed, so why fear it? It's your next adventure. So do take a look at the quick video links that I had there. The third one is a bit longer. It's American thought leaders. And they always discuss things in an intelligent manner. And you don't have to agree with them, but at least there's a discussion. It'll keep your sanity in your basement if you're feeling lonely, feeling depressed. I never feel that way, but that's because I have a different sense of things, maybe. So that's all for today. I just really invite you to watch, especially the first 2 videos. The first 2 just sort of go over what I said. You're banging your pots at 7 or honking your horn. You're calling on your neighbors because you're not wearing a mask. You're staying at home. You're doing exactly what you're told, and not thinking that there's a bigger plan afoot. Believing everything the standard newscasts tell you. You're watching CNN or CNN or CBC or CTV or NBC or whatever you watch. And of course, they're not realizing those people are all news readers. They have a script of what they have to say. And most people don't wonder who told them, who wrote that script. Who's getting these people to all say the same story? Every now and again, I post something from Rebel News. It's people who think outside the box. Don't have to believe what they say either. You shouldn't. You should research it yourself. But I mean, at least look at alternate sides of things. Once again, that's all for today. Well, it's a bit cloudy today. I was going to again go to the boat. I'm going to do some videos from the marina. Just haven't got around to it yet. We get so tied up with things. Well, take care. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow.